Hey there folks, and welcome back for another video. I'm your host CDB or Chris, and I'm so glad you could join me today on this Tuesday morning, feeling much better than Monday morning. Monday morning, I woke up migraine, my back was hurting from the move, but I'm feeling much better today. So thank you all for joining. Today we're going to have a theme. It is an Italian, a Viking, and a Barbarian, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But today we're going to be using Ariana and Evan's Sneaky Pete, who I think Pete Charkellis is Italian, so it sort of fits the theme. The Equestrian, and this soap will remind you of vintage polo. Now, I must say, I think what I thought I was going to get in this soap was the polo circa like 1987. But this one I think is the original, and it's got some more woody, and I would call it even somewhat earthy, which is not my really favorite scent. I prefer the like 1907 and up polo, which has a sharper green, almost piney a little bit. But anyway, this is not a bad scent. I think a lot of folks who appreciate wood, green, maybe a little bit of leather would really like this scent. I got this out of the club, and just a reminder, if you're a member of the club, you get these cheaper than if you're not. So for me, I think it's a really good value to join the club. It's like $12.99 for 6 months. It's worth it in my opinion. You can get these sort of soaps that Peter Charkellis turns out. And the ingredients on here, which you probably can't see that. But anyway, this is one of those soaps that contain the unicorn milk, the dragon tallow, the chupacabra oil, the super blue emu. These are the soaps that contain those ingredients that some of you are looking for. But he does it as a cheaper price. So I can't really... You're not supposed to talk about the price, but this is still less than $5 an ounce. So, you know, it's a good price for these sort of soaps. It's not a $30 soap, but it's got really great ingredients. The Equestrian, we're going to use the splash as well. We're also going to use the, David Gonzalez sent this to me. This is the W.H. Morley and Sons Clover brand barber's notch razor. Thank you, David, for sending that. We're going to enjoy that today. So let's get started with the cube. And there's several individuals I want to talk about during the course of this video today. It is our Italian, Viking, and Barbarian theme. Anyway, we're going to apply a little bit of cube. By the way, we got about 24 hours of growth here. Maybe slightly under normal growth, let's just call it. Close enough, we'll call it. Anyway, I've used Peter Charkellis' soap before, and I know I don't need to use the cube, but it's massive and I have it, so why not use it, you know? It's not going to hurt anything, that's for sure. I'm going to apply a little more moisture before we get to lathering. Anyway, Italian. So I want to start with the stallion. And I know I've already dedicated a shave to the stallion, but one thing I want to reiterate for people is the stallion is one of my longest friends in terms of the wet shaving community. He's one of the people I've known the longest, probably 7 years plus. And he is a personal friend of mine. We talk pretty regularly. And one of the things I want to say is the stallion never tells me I can only use his edges. Like, he tells me specifically, go out and try other edges, see what you like. His perspective is that everybody should try what they like, and it's not just about him. And he tells me repeatedly, try other edges, see which one you like. You may find that others are more buttery and so on and so forth. And he's like, you have to figure out what you like. He never, ever says, only my edges do, you know. I want to make that clear because sometimes I get the impression that people think, and this is my perception, that he has people who will only talk about his edges or will only use his edges. I love his edges. They work very well for me, but I'm trying other edges too. And this edge right here today is a different edge. I used one yesterday that was a different edge from a guy on Etsy. Great edge. And so the stallion is 100% for people enjoying. So if you use his edge and you enjoy it, that's great. But if you prefer someone else's edge, it's no problem with him. And he tells people regularly, try this edge, try that edge. So I just wanted to clear that up at the onset. This is straight razor shave number 32. We're going to use the Doug Bear Swinger method, I'm calling it, which is kind of funny. Nice edge so far. I have found that I really don't know about the edge until I get to my neck, because there's that's where the toughest area of my beard is, and it also happens to be the most sensitive area of my skin. So the edge is very important. On my cheeks, you know, I can shave with about anything, but on my neck, you really need a particular type of edge, or a good edge, I should say. All right. This one seems fine. I do not know whether this is 6/8 or 5/8. I forgot to ask David, but the edge is good. He said it had been recently honed and nice edge. So I'm not having any problems with this edge. And I mentioned that because I guarantee you, if I told the stallion, he'd say, great. You know, he wants people to have the best straight razor shaving experience possible. All right. So there's our first piece that we're going to say about the Italian. So the Viking comes up next, and that is Johan from Shave and Butcher. And today, or actually yesterday or Sunday, I can't remember which day it was. I'm still a little bit foggy, but he had a video where he's talking about Parkinson's, and Johan from Shave and Butcher has Parkinson's. And he talked in a very heartfelt manner about his disease and the implications and long-term ramifications. And I was touched by it. He's a guy that I really like. I really like his videos, and I hope you will go and give him a sub, because I think you're going to enjoy his content. He has a great sense of humor, and he takes his disease in stride. You know, he's concerned about it, but he still laughs and jokes and enjoys life. And the latest video, which I'm going to post below, I'm asking you to watch that. And if you feel compelled to contribute to a raffle, because he's having a raffle for a straight razor that will help do research for Parkinson's disease, which he has, there'll be instructions in his video on how to do so. And I hope you will support his cause. He is a great guy. Parkinson is something that affects a lot of people all over the world, obviously. And I think the way he talked about it with poise, grace, dignity, and humor was something that was really outstanding. You know, he knows what he's facing. It is not good. But yet he continues to live his life in a way that he's not defeated. And he's an inspiration to all of us, and especially me. When I see people like that, and he's straight razor shaving, now he can't straight razor shave really in a traditional way because the mobility of his hands. But he's a far better straight razor shaver than I am. And I'm like, you know, he has some issues that I don't have in terms of mobility. And if he can do it, then I can surely do it. And you can do it too. So even if you're not a straight razor shaver, I want to invite you. Now is the time. Now is sort of, I think, the resurgence of wet shaving generally, but also straight razor shaving. A lot of new people coming on board. Thank you for each and every one of you who comments below and says, I started straight razor shaving because I caught your video, or Stallion, or Johan, or, you know, whomever, Dave Card, you know. I could go on and on and on. Thanks to each and every one of you. And if you're on the fence, now is the time. If I can do it, you can do it. And I will make a video speaking strictly of straight razor shaving, like we saw Johan do about a week ago. Please, please, I implore you, go check out his video below. Give him a sub. I promise you, if you watch 3 of Johan's videos, you're going to be glad that you subscribed because he is funny and he's a great guy, I think. I've only gotten to know him over the last 5-6 months, and honestly, I consider him to be a friend, although we don't talk on a daily basis. He's the type of person that I really enjoy, and he lives life in a way that I really enjoy, and he doesn't talk about divisive stuff and so on and so forth. He just does his thing and does it in a very excellent manner, as far as I'm concerned. So I hope you'll go check Johan out. Okay, let's come across here. Very nice. This razor is shaving well, by the way. So this edge feels good to me, and I guarantee you when the stallion sees this video, he'll be pleased. You know, it's not just about the stallion, you know. So anyway, Johan's part was the Viking. That was the second part. The third part that we're getting into here is the Barbarian. And what shall we say about the Barbarian? Well, a new individual just started making videos. And I think he mentioned he's only been wet shaving for maybe a year and a half. I can't recall what he said in his video. I apologize. But his name is Marion the Barbarian. And so he has been a supporter of many channels. And quite frankly, he said in his video the other day that my older stuff, whereas I used to talk about politics and stuff, he didn't like it. But he saw Chris Maiden's video when Chris talked about, you know, how I wasn't talking about politics anymore. Dumbest thing I ever did was interject politics on the channel. My advice to you, don't do it. But anyway, so let's get some moisture here. A little water. Anyhow, he came back after Chris Maiden, you know, made that video, and then he started to enjoy it after a few videos. So first of all, thank you very much, Marion, for second chances. I believe strongly in second chances. Where would I be in my life without second chances? Nowhere. And most of you would be in the same position because there's not a single one of us that haven't made mistakes. So thank you very, very much, Marion. And Marion has been a contributor to my channel. He sent gear. He actually sent a PayPal, which I want to be honest, folks. The Patreon and the PayPal, it helps a lot because when you're producing content every day, it gets costly. And I spend a lot of money. And so, for example, today I went to the post office and I mailed 3 packages. And that was like $26 or something. And that gets expensive because that happens once or twice a week. You know, you send things to people, viewers, other channels, and it's not cheap. And so thank you, Marion, very much, both for your support in terms of just having nice things to say, in terms of, you know, he sent a couple of razors and some soaps for me to try. So I can't tell you what that means to me. It means a lot. I'm greatly appreciative. And so I would love it if you guys will go check out Marion. I thought he had a really good... Again, the new people starting out with videos today are far better than we were. You know, when I started, they were atrocious. And some would argue they're still atrocious. But his video, I thought, he kept it moving. There's not a lot of dead air. He avoided all the things that people typically do not like. He mentioned a few channels, including mine. Thank you, Marion. And I hope you will go over and check out Marion the Barbarian. Again, I always link below the channels I'm talking about. Please make sure to hit that show more, and you'll see all the links. A lot of times there's links for the soaps, and there'll be a link for Johan's fundraising video. I'd really appreciate it if you would give all these folks I mentioned a look, because I wouldn't mention them if I didn't think they were decent folks. Now, sometimes, quite honestly, you mention someone and then later down the road, they maybe weren't what they thought, what you thought they were. But I can tell you, these guys are solid gents, as far as I'm concerned. And so I hope you will give them a shot. So we're not going to spend all day on this lather. It's one of the things I've been trying to do is shorten things up a bit. You don't need to spend all day on your lather. If you want to, that's okay, but it's just absolutely not required. And let's get going with our third and final pass. We're keeping our angle shallow per Kai Triska Superman. And so far that has been serving me pretty well. One thing I always forget to do is stretch. It is so, you just form habits and you just forget. Make sure you keep your hands dry too. That's a tip that I cannot emphasize enough. And the other thing is, the one thing that I forget to do is move that stretch point up. So now I'm going up here, move the stretch point up, pull down. And again, the edge on this feels pretty good to me, so thank you, David. Sorry I got so loud there. I was close to the camera. I love, sound like I'm shouting at you. My apologies. I love these barber's notch style razors. That to me is a very practical tip. There's no big point on it. And it looks cool. So to me, I prefer a barber's notch to one of those spiky point. To me, this even looks better. That's just, aesthetics are subjective though, so keep that in mind. Remembering to move the stretch point up. Seriously, folks, if you're interested in straight razor shaving, now is the time. We have so many great people that are there to help you. Many help me, and yes, there's a learning curve. And I'm still learning. I'm going to be learning for many months to come. But the feeling you get, the reward, if you take your time, if you slow down, I think it's really hard to beat, That's just my feeling. You just feel so accomplished after doing a straight razor shave relative to a DE shave. And if you're just a DE shaver, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to be using my DEs too. But there's just something really, you feel like you've really accomplished something. Because it's a little more difficult, maybe a lot. It depends on who you talk to. If you know what you're doing, it's a lot easier, which I don't. I'm just trying to get a little better each and every day. And each time I manage to get a shave without any nicks, creepers, weepers, cuts, irritation. I feel good about it. I just really feel good. So, all right, let us do the rinse, and then we will come back and get into the post. Stay tuned. And we are back with the usual suspect. Lancaster towel from Lancaster Razor Works. Excellent towel. I absolutely love it, and I am very thankful that I started watching DK Darn Fine Shaves, because he's the one that put me onto this. And man, I really love this thing, so thank you, DK. All right, let us apply the witch hazel. While we're doing this, I want to remind you, please check out the folks I mentioned in this video. Marion the Barbarian, the Stallion, Sneaky Pete Charcalis, and of course, our Viking friend, Johan from Shave and Butcher. Terrific people, terrific channels, all of them give. And you can't ask for anything more than that. Okay, so today we used the Clover brand by W.H. Morley and Sons, courtesy of David Gonzalez. Thank you very much, so sharp, David. Excellent shave with that razor, by the way. We used Ariana and Evans Equestrian. If you like woodsy, green, slightly earthy scents, old school, original polo, this might be for you. If you like the current version, it may not be as much for you. It is not my favorite scent, but I do like it. But eventually I'll probably, give this to someone or do something with it. Anyway, I didn't mention I'm using the Ariana and Evans synthetic brush, which I really like. Love that handle, love the brush. Pete says he still has some available in the shaving shop. I do encourage you to give the Shaving Shop Club a shot. He's got some great stuff. He makes, let me put it to you this way. He makes the soap with the Super Blue Emu, the Unicorn Milk, the Dragon Tallow, the Chupacabra oil. He makes them and sells them, if you're in the club, for less than just about everybody else in the business. And those ingredients, we're talking about tallow, goat's milk, shea butter, pig fat, avocado oil. You look at the ingredients on this and it's pretty awesome. And that is a fantastic shave. I couldn't be more pleased with it. It's feeling better and better every single time. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate your time as always. I want to remind you, I'm your host CDB. It's your shave, do it your way, and God bless.